My reality's been turned upside down. There is some gore in that one too. So that's kind of fun if you're into that. And it's different than the Wonderland you know. Okay? It's Wanderlust. What? Let me help you, baby. Is he a man or is he a hard-boiled egg man? So, for this wrap-up, I basically only truly read 3 books. I started a 4th, but then I kind of lost my Kindle. And it was on a good one too. So I'm gonna tell you about that one because I do highly recommend it just based off of like the, 25% that I've read so far. It's right up my alley and my humor. So we'll talk about that one. And then I got one weird ass one. Okay, which was good. It started wonky. Let me tell you. I'll spoil that one, so that will be at the end. But it was a good one. I need to buy it to go up on my trophy shelf, but that's another thing. Anyways, starting with the books, I'll go into the one that... Actually, no, I'm not starting there. I'm not starting with that one. We'll talk about Twisted Cross Ranch, because I read book 2, and if you guys saw my last wrap-up video for last month, you'll know that I was disappointed in Caleb because he sounded the same in this and when he's in the Make Games, and he's also supposed to be Texas, but he doesn't really have a Texas accent. It's the same accent from when he was supposedly Irish, and I believed it, but now I don't know anymore. My reality's been turned upside down. Anyways, by the end of it, I got excited because I heard Russian Caleb, and that was worth it. But book 2, stuff happened, I guess. It's definitely, on the smutty side, but it's just not as fun as the Make Games. I don't know. So I'm telling you like I see it. So that's 3 stars. And there was no like Russian Caleb. Well, no, did he pop up at the end for like a sentence again? I was bummed about it. But anyways, that's that one. The next one, oh yeah, Bitten by Death. So this was the traveling book, and this one just wasn't really for me. It had a really neat premise. It was this whole idea about this girl who was human, has been changed into a vampire, and Death comes along, and he wants all of the vampires eradicated. In fact, he thought he's already done that. So when she pops up, he's interested in how the heck she came into being. There has to mean that there's more because she was turned. So he's trying to figure out where all of this is coming from and how he can eradicate it. So he kind of takes her into his possession and wants to use her as bait to lure out the master vampire, if you will. And meanwhile, she has amnesia, so it definitely has the amnesia trope in it. And she doesn't really know who she was prior to everything going on. And she's kind of working together with him, but she's more so just kind of sticking around because she feels like he owes her money. And there's a thing with that, but it's just, I don't know. So the premise was sick. I liked this idea of a vampire and Death wanting to eradicate the vampires and being like, you're kind of an insult to my existence. But the execution of the book was not there. It's like I was really struggling with the chick. She really bugged me. Being in her inner monologue was just, it's like constant sarcasm and jokes. She felt like a 13-year-old boy personally to me because it was like constant little things here and there that sounded very much like a 13-year-old boy. So I couldn't come to like her. I found her incredibly annoying. Death, he was okay, but it's kind of another one of those situations for me where he just felt kind of weak to me. He didn't feel like a god. So I was bummed by that, especially after coming off of Pestilence, where they did such a good job. Laura Talisa nailed it on making it feel like a supreme entity that's above humans. I didn't really like him either. So it didn't fit for me. I'm going to give it, I think, 2 stars. I would rather read that over Ballad of Nightmares, that's for sure, but it was a hard one for me to get into. And then it was also very confusing, by the way. It's definitely, more on your smut route. Takes a little bit before you get there, before they come together. And I don't know. It wasn't hitting. I don't know what I'm saying. Am I confusing? I feel like I am. But anyways, I don't recommend that one. There was some gore in it, so I will give props for that. But anyways, next one. So this one was actually our buddy read. This was The Kingdom of Villains, which is a fun little cover. And this was essentially kind of like a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and it started good It's very middle ground. I'm going to say this. It was 3.5 stars for me overall, but in the beginning, I totally saw it as starting to go towards 5 stars. I loved the world. I loved the creatures. It felt like a fairy tale, and it felt like a dark fairy tale in the sense of like the creatures they were describing and just kind of the atmosphere of it all. It was cute. And there's actually a secondary character. It's the mother of our male lead. She had like Maleficent vibes, and I was into it. So I was digging all this atmospheric stuff. And the characters were fine. Nothing I really like am gaga over. So I would have to give like half a star, I think, towards characters, except for Olette. But ultimately, the story, it's supposedly enemies to lovers, but not really. It's kind of, I hate when books do this, when they say it's enemies to lovers, but it's like, I don't know, 2 chapters of them being enemies, but it even didn't really feel like they're really enemies. And I kind of felt like her big beef with her life and what he does to her is not really, I don't know. It doesn't feel realistic because her life wasn't great before, but I'll let you guys discover that if you want to read it. I mean, it's worth a read. You might be really into it, but I guess by the end of it, I was just kind of hoping that there was going to be more. And the beginning of it felt like it had the potential to be really cool because it had the atmosphere. So I was hoping we would have some really cool depth and dialogue with the characters, but it really didn't come full circle, unfortunately. So there is some gore in that one too. So that's kind of fun if you're into that. But anyways, that was that one. I feel like I'm so unexciting. I'm sorry. I'm starting to dwindle. I'm really sorry, guys. But anyways, next one, because I still can't remember Jack. Oh, yeah. Okay. So those were all the 3 books that I actually read. This one I started and then I lost my damn Kindle. I'll find it. I need to clean, honestly. This place is a mess. But it's Descend into Madness. It's an Alice in Wonderland one. It's supposed to be dark. It's supposed to be smutty. It's supposed to be funny. And as far as I got, honestly, it delivers. The first chapter, the first page, you are just going to be smiling. You need to go in with not having any sort of highbrow expectations. You need to go in just wanting to have a fun, ridiculous time. That's the key word, ridiculous. Because the first page, you really are just going to look at the page and be like, what did I read? And that's going to happen over and over. And I only got like 25% of the way through. But it's just fun. She does use alliteration. She does kind of create these little like poem-like riddles. The characters are really cool. And it's done, again, in that dark, smutty way. So you have your childhood understanding of what Alice in Wonderland is. And then we're going to kind of flip it and make it more adult, make it more dark, make it more naughty, and make it really funny in kind of a crass way. So I enjoyed it. The whole premise behind it is we have Alice, who's much older, and no one really believed her when it came to her time in Wonderland, so they put her in an insane asylum, that's how everything opens. And she likes to be called Malice. She doesn't want to be called Alice because of all the issues that have kind of arisen since she's come back from Wonderland. And she needs to end up going back, so instead of Tweedledee and Tweedledum, you know what? I'm not going to say it. I'm going to let you guys read it and you'll figure out what their names are. But it was fun. It's naughty fun, okay? They have fun names and they're hot. But anyways, that's besides the point. They come and get her and bring her back to Wonderland because they basically need her to help the land come back to what it used to be. And it's very like vampiric and dark and just sultry. Like it's different. It's different than the Wonderland you know. Okay? It's Wanderlust. It was good and I need to find my Kindle so I can finish it. I was laughing so much. So many times I was just looking at the page and rereading something like, did I just read that? If you need a laugh and you need something not serious at all that you can just kind of get lost in and just, I don't know. I don't want to say you're necessarily going to get hot and bothered. Maybe you will. I don't know you. I don't know your tastes, but it's sultry, ridiculous, comedic fun. For me, it was just freaking hilarious. So I'll keep it at that. Okay. I want to read it again. I need to find my Kindle. I think it has potential to be 5 stars. Okay. Cool. Last one. This is my weird ass romance one. Of course, April and I, this was actually our first month where we didn't have anybody joining us because we were supposed to be reading. I'm kind of ashamed of this, I'm not going to lie, but I was going to do it. I was going to push myself. But we were supposed to read The Perfect Pooh and then like Conquered by Mr. Clippy. Both of which apparently were no longer on KU. What? And I think Conquered by Mr. Clippy was like 80 something pages. So we were just like, nah, we're not going to do it. But I was nervous. I'm not going to lie. I don't know what got into us, but we had to see what was going to happen. You can't name something like that and say it's smut and not be curious what happens. It's clearly a dumpster fire, but I can't look away. We nixed those and we found this Deviled Egg book. I don't remember the name of it, but that one. We found this and we're like, you know what? It's springtime. We're about to have Easter. Let's see what's going on in this. The whole premise of this is a girl who's about to have friends over for, I want to say it was Easter, like a friend's Easter. And she's kind of cooking and prepping and getting everything ready. And she's just really anxious and she's really nervous about it. And this hard-boiled egg comes to life and helps her. Okay? So that's the premise. I'm about to spoil the rest of it. But when it started, I was just very kind of like, okay, this is like 3 stars or something. I think I'm going to give it 4 stars ultimately because the beginning I felt was kind of slow. But we also have no idea how to picture this dude, okay? He's basically, she's shucking shells off of the hard-boiled eggs. She cuts her finger. I don't know why, but she cuts her finger on it. And she's going to like clean up. And then all of a sudden, this hard-boiled egg man dude comes out of the bathroom, just like sauntering on over. He apparently has like ripped abs. And we're like, wait, the way it was described, we're like, is he just a face? Is he still an egg with like abs on it? Where's the hands? I pictured the gloves from like Mickey Mouse and honestly just a normal egg shape, even though it talked about abs. I just pictured a normal egg shape, just like walking out of the bathroom. Which that's freaking terrifying. And he's like coming up to her and be like, let me help you, baby. And he's kind of like a college frat boy. That's the like personality that I'm seeing personally. But he's trying to like help her with everything and she's not even scared. And she's like, can you just like get out of here? I need to prep. I need to get ready. All this stuff. Suddenly they're banging. I don't quite remember how they started banging, but they're banging and she's into it. She's into the shell stuff. And I don't really know how to describe it. You would just have to read those scenes. But it's weird. There's at some point, there's something with a leash because he has a tail that has like little eggs on it instead of like, little sharp triangle things. I don't know what those are. Think of a dragon. Okay? Or crocodile. Think of a crocodile. But the ends are like little egg shapes that he like pops into her. So for some reason, he's a hard-boiled egg, but he has a tail. That doesn't make sense. But we're rolling with it, okay? And at some point, he wraps that around her neck like a leash and makes her crawl over to the dining table. And then, they bang it out again. And then his stuff. It is devil egg stuff, And it has like the tip. Talking about that, where's my tip stuff? His tip is like a star, like the icing cones, like if you're trying to ice a cake. It's like a star shape, kind of like you would typically use when you're trying to jazz up your hard-boiled eggs for Easter, or the ones your grandma used. Okay? Your grandma probably used them. Make it have like a little spiral tip. That's what his D has, and he's just doing that to her, and it's the hard-boiled egg stuff. It's not even really cream. It's thick. There's no way to get around that, okay? And it's just all over the place, okay? All over the place. And then she gets really paranoid afterwards. She's feeling good, all right? She's just like, she's had her moment. She's relaxed. But then all of a sudden she sees everything and she's like, oh my God, they're here. What am I going to do? And she goes to get cleaned up. And somehow our hard-boiled egg man was able to do everything. And he had all these hard-boiled eggs and he had all these other food. And he gave it to her friends. And they're talking about how the hard-boiled eggs are so good. Oh my God, and I totally forgot. The hair ugh, it still sounds gross when you describe it like that. The hair, normally in the, the Johnson region, it was like chives and dill. He had his own little herb nest down there. So, yeah. Yeah, so it was fragrant because of their movements and how they were having coitus, the heat, it kind of created an aroma and it just smelled savory. I don't know why it's weird. I don't know why it's weird. It is weird, but it's cool and it's fun. I don't know. I don't know. As you can tell, I don't know. But his friends or her friends start to eat the hard-boiled eggs, and they're talking about like how good the cream is, and like the super fresh freaking herbs, and our hard-boiled egg man. Which, by the way, they're not even nervous looking at him. This weird thing. I'm confused. Is he a man or is he a hard-boiled egg man? This should scare all of us. Anyways, I kind of pictured like the Michelin Man, I think, or at least now I'm picturing the Michelin Man, but like hard-boiled egg with like kind of the shiny, soft surface and abs. When I read it, I just kind of pictured an egg with Mickey Mouse hands and a tail. But anyways, the people, her friends, start eating him, and he's just like, oh yeah, that's my own special recipe, and the herbs are nice and fresh. I just cut them. Yeah. So that was our Easter book. That was the Easter book, okay? So that was good. I'm going to give it 4 stars. The only reason why it's not 5 is because Pounded by Pluto and the Mantis one are my 5 stars, okay? And this is good, but it's not those. It's not those. But anyways, I'm out of breath. That took my breath away. I think I need to go take a nap. I hope you enjoyed that. I don't really have a ton that honestly I would recommend. Descend into Madness, totally recommend. This hard-boiled egg one, if you're just looking for something ridiculous, maybe put it on your list for next year. Okay? But anyways, I need to go. I'm tired and I'm gonna go pass out. Okay? But anyways, you guys have a good one and I'll see you next week. Bye.